Main ideas of Nietzsche.
Friedrich Nietzsche was a German philosopher, cultural critic, composer, poet, philologist, and a Latin and Greek scholar whose work has exerted a profound influence on modern intellectual history. He lived from 1844 to 1900, and his writings have been extensively studied and debated by philosophers and scholars. Here are some of the main ideas for which Nietzsche is known. 1. Will to power. Nietzsche's concept of the will to power, Wille zur Macht, describes a fundamental drive that he believed motivated all living beings. This drive was not just about survival or reproduction, but a quest for dominance, achievement, and the overcoming of obstacles. He saw it as a psychological analysis of all human action. 2. Übermensch, Overman or Superman. Nietzsche introduces the idea of the Übermensch in Thus Spoke Zarathustra. This concept embodies a person who has transcended the established values and moral codes of society, creating their own values and purpose. The Übermensch represents the goal of human evolution in Nietzsche's perspective, not in a biological sense, but in terms of cultural and personal growth. 3. Eternal recurrence. The idea of eternal recurrence is a thought experiment that asks how you would respond if you had to live your life over and over again in exactly the same way for eternity. It challenges individuals to live their lives as though each moment were to be repeated forever, and therefore to live in a way that would leave them with no regrets. 4. Nihilism. Nietzsche was concerned with the rise of nihilism, which he defined as the devaluation of the highest values posited by the ascetic ideal. He feared that with the decline of religion and traditional morality, people would feel a sense of meaninglessness and purposelessness. However, he saw this as an opportunity to embrace new values and meanings. 5. Master-slave morality. He described two types of morality: master morality, which arises from the nobility and affirms life with values such as pride and nobility, and slave morality, which arises from the weak and oppressed and is based on values like kindness, empathy, and sympathy. Nietzsche argued that early Christianity was a form of slave morality that glorified humility and meekness. 6. Critique of religion and morality. Nietzsche was a sharp critic of Christianity and traditional morality, which he believed were life-denying and based on the promotion of weak values. He believed that traditional morality restricted the human spirit and creativity. The death of God. In The Gay Science, Nietzsche famously declared that God is dead, meaning that the idea of a singular divine authority no longer had the power to shape moral codes or provide meaning to life in the modern world. This phrase captures the crisis of the modern world confronting the void left by secularization. 8. Perspectivism. Nietzsche argued that there are no absolute truths, only perspectives. This approach is called perspectivism, and it posits that knowledge is always bound by the context and perspective of the knower. It's important to note that Nietzsche's work is complex and subject to multiple interpretations. His use of aphorisms and the literary nature of many of his texts also make definitive understanding challenging. Nietzsche's provocative style and often contradictory statements have led to a wide variety of interpretations in philosophical and cultural discussions.
How does Nietzsche's concept of the will to power relate to his ideas on the Übermensch and the revaluation of values?
Nietzsche's concept of the will to power is deeply connected to his ideas on the Übermensch and the revaluation of values, creating a philosophical framework that challenges conventional morality and aims to redefine the human potential. Will to power. Nietzsche posits that the fundamental driving force in humans is not merely the will to survive, but the will to power, the desire to assert and enhance one's own power and influence. This is expressed not just in physical or political terms, but also intellectually, artistically, and emotionally. Übermensch. The Übermensch, or Overman, is Nietzsche's vision of an individual who has overcome the limitations and moralities of traditional society to create their own values and purpose. Such a being would embody the will to power in its highest form, living in accordance with their own self-determined principles and flourishing without relying on societal norms or religious guidelines that Nietzsche saw as outdated and life-denying. Revaluation of values. The revaluation of values is Nietzsche's call for a reassessment of the moral values that had dominated European culture, particularly those stemming from Christianity. He criticized these values as being born out of weakness and resentment, slave morality, and aimed to replace them with values that affirm life and strength, master morality. Nietzsche's will to power plays a crucial role here. It implies that individuals should create their own value systems based on their own will to power, rather than adopt a universal, imposed set of values. In essence, the will to power provides the dynamism behind the idea of the Übermensch, who, in revaluating values, exemplifies the creation of new values and meaning in life. The Übermensch rejects the herd mentality of accepting prescribed values and instead forges a new path that affirms their innate will to power. This process of creating new values is both a demonstration of the will to power and a means by which the will to power can be fully actualized in individuals or cultures, leading to the potential for human transformation and evolution in Nietzsche's philosophical framework.
How might Nietzsche's critique of traditional morality influence contemporary ethical discussions, especially in the context of creating personal or societal values?
Nietzsche's critique of traditional morality has profound implications for contemporary ethical discussions and the creation of personal or societal values. His challenge to the foundations of conventional Western morality invites a rethinking of ethical principles and the basis on which they are established. Here are a few ways in which his critique might influence contemporary ethical discussions. 1. Questioning the universality of moral values. Nietzsche's perspective encourages an examination of whether the moral values we hold are universally applicable or whether they are contingent on cultural, historical, and situational factors. This can lead to a more pluralistic and relativistic view of ethics. Emphasis on individual autonomy, Nietzsche's valorization of the will to power, and the concept of creating one's own values highlight the importance of individual autonomy in ethics. This can influence contemporary discussions by shifting focus from collective norms to individual agency in moral decision-making. 3. Rejection of asceticism. Nietzsche criticizes asceticism and the life-denying attitudes he sees inherent in traditional morality. In contemporary society, this might translate into a greater acceptance of self-affirmation, the pursuit of personal excellence, and the cultivation of one's strengths and passions. 4. Critical approach to morality. Nietzsche's deconstruction of moral values encourages critical thinking about the origins and purposes of our moral beliefs. This skepticism can lead to a more reflective and self-aware approach to ethics, where moral positions are openly debated and re-evaluated. 5. Beyond good and evil. With his call to move beyond the dichotomy of good and evil, Nietzsche's philosophy can induce a more nuanced understanding of moral complexity, where actions are not simply categorized but understood in their context and according to their consequences. 6. Influence on postmodern ethics. Postmodern thought, influenced by Nietzsche, tends to reject grand narratives and universal truths, including in the realm of ethics. Ethical discussions thus become framed around particular local narratives rather than binding global doctrines. 7. Empowerment and responsibility. Nietzsche's emphasis on self-creation can empower individuals to take more responsibility for their actions and the values they choose to live by, leading to discussions about the ethical responsibilities that come with increased personal freedom. 8. Critique of altruism. Nietzsche's skepticism about the value of selflessness and altruism in traditional ethics might spur debates about the role and importance of self-interest versus serving others in contemporary moral frameworks. Nietzsche's philosophy presents both challenges and opportunities for ethical discussions today. It opens up the field for questioning the status quo and encourages individuals to take active roles in defining their values and living authentically according to them. However, it also poses complex questions about the foundations of a stable and coherent society if traditional moral anchors are removed or significantly altered.
How can Nietzsche's advocacy for the creation of one's own values coexist with the need for a shared ethical framework in a multicultural and pluralistic society?
Reconciling Nietzsche's advocacy for individual value creation with the need for a shared ethical framework in a multicultural and pluralistic society is an intriguing challenge. Nietzsche encourages individuals to transcend herd morality and create their own values, Yet, a functioning society requires some level of common understanding and agreement on ethical principles to ensure social cohesion and cooperation. Here are some ways to explore this coexistence. 1. Negotiating boundaries. A society could promote individual value creation within certain boundaries that are designed to preserve social harmony. These boundaries would be minimal, yet flexible enough to accommodate a wide array of individual values while maintaining a basic societal framework. 2. Value pluralism. Embracing value pluralism means accepting that multiple, often conflicting value systems can coexist. Societies can strive for a respectful coexistence of different value systems as long as they adhere to certain fundamental rights and principles that protect individuals from harm. 3. Overlapping consensus. Philosopher John Rawls suggested the concept of overlapping consensus, where different moral and religious doctrines can agree on political principles of justice despite divergent reasons. A similar approach could facilitate shared ethical norms that support societal functioning while individuals pursue their personal values. 4. Core human values. Even with Nietzsche's call for individualism in value creation, certain human values like fairness, nonviolence, and cooperation might be universally appreciated and maintained as part of the shared ethical framework. 5. Civic education. Education can play a significant role in balancing individual value creation and shared ethical frameworks by teaching critical thinking, empathy, and the importance of social contract, thereby enabling individuals to understand and navigate the complexities of a pluralistic society. 6. Dialogical engagement. Encouraging open dialogue and discussion between individuals with different value systems can help in finding common ground and understanding the relative nature of values, leading to a more inclusive society. 7. Strong civil institutions. Civil institutions can mediate between private and public morality, encouraging the pursuit of individual values while maintaining a common legal and ethical infrastructure that supports the collective good. 8. Articulating a minimal ethics. Society could work towards articulating a minimal set of ethical standards to which most, if not all, can agree, such as human rights, which allow for a broad range of individual expression and value creation within their scope. Nietzsche's concepts challenge a society to creatively engage with ethical diversity while preserving a sense of community and a functional social order. The balance between individual vitality and social coherence requires ongoing dialogue, negotiation, and reflection, a testament to the dynamic nature of ethics in a multicultural and pluralistic society.
What role do democratic institutions play in harmonizing Nietzsche's individualism with collective ethical commitments in a pluralistic society?
Democratic institutions play a pivotal role in attempting to balance the tension between individualism, as advocated by Nietzsche, and collective ethical commitments in a pluralistic society. Here's how they contribute to this harmonization. 1. Representation and participation. Democratic institutions provide a mechanism for individuals to express their personal values and beliefs through voting, representation, and participation in the political process. This ensures that diverse perspectives can influence the collective decision-making process. 2. Protection of individual rights. Democracies are typically structured to protect individual freedoms and rights, allowing for the pursuit of personal values, while also delineating the boundaries of those pursuits to ensure they do not infringe upon the rights of others. 3. Legal framework. Democracies establish a legal framework that can mediate between individual actions guided by personal values and society's collective ethical standards. Laws are created and enforced to ensure social order while allowing for a degree of autonomy. 4. Public deliberation. Democratic institutions facilitate public debate and deliberation, providing a forum for the discussion of values. This dialogue can lead to a better understanding and integration of various value systems within the social fabric. 5. Education and civic engagement. Democracies often emphasize education and civic engagement, which can foster critical thinking and a sense of responsibility among citizens. Education can encourage individuals to reflect on their values in the context of wider societal needs. 6. Compromise and consensus building. Democratic institutions inherently involve compromise and consensus building, which can help balance individual values with the need for a cohesive set of ethical commitments that a diverse population can accept. 7. Rights protection against tyranny of the majority. Democracies have checks and balances to protect minorities and individuals from the tyranny of the majority, ensuring that individual values and rights are not overridden by the will of the larger collective. 8. Adaptability and reform. Democratic systems are adaptable by nature, allowing for reform and changes in the legal and ethical framework in response to evolving societal values and norms, thus responding to the development of new value systems influenced by individual ideals. 9. Cultural institutions. Democracy supports cultural institutions that promote diversity, creativity, and expression, which can be spaces for individual value creation within the context of a shared culture. Democratic institutions thus serve to provide stability and structure while fostering an environment conducive to individual growth and the development of personal values. They aim to create a dynamic equilibrium where personal liberty coexists with social responsibility, a challenging balance that is always in a state of negotiation and evolution.
How can democratic legal systems evolve to better foster individual value creation without compromising the collective welfare and rights of others in society?
Enhancing the capacity of democratic legal systems to foster individual value creation while safeguarding the collective welfare and rights of others involves a delicate balancing act. Here are several approaches that can contribute to this evolution. 1. Updating legal frameworks. Continuously revisiting and updating legislation to reflect changing societal values and technological advancements ensures that individual freedoms are protected and nurtured without infringing on the rights of others. 2. Promoting inclusivity and diversity. Implementing policies that actively promote inclusivity and diversity can create a more supportive environment for a wider array of individual values to be expressed and respected. 3. Strengthening civil liberties. Safeguarding civil liberties, such as freedom of speech, association, and conscience, is crucial for individual value creation. A legal system that robustly defends these liberties allows for greater personal expression and development. 4. Fostering education and critical thinking. Legal mandates that support comprehensive education systems, emphasizing critical thinking and ethical reasoning, can prepare individuals to navigate a complex society with diverse values. 5. Alternative dispute resolution, ADR. Encouraging ADR mechanisms like mediation and arbitration can allow for more personalized resolution of conflicts, where the unique values and concerns of the parties can be addressed more directly than in traditional court settings. 6. Decentralization of power. Decentralizing decision-making power to local and community levels can foster more nuanced and context-sensitive approaches to balancing individual and collective needs. 7. Responsive and flexible legislation. Creating legal systems that are responsive and adaptive to new challenges, such as those presented by digital innovation, ensures that individual creativity is not stifled by outdated regulations. 8. Protecting privacy. Ensuring strong legal protections for privacy enables individuals to explore and develop their personal values without undue interference or surveillance from the state or other actors. 9. Balanced intellectual property rights. Crafting intellectual property laws that strike a balance between protecting the rights of creators and fostering access and innovation can stimulate individual creativity and societal progress. 10. Civic dialogue and participation. Encouraging civic dialogue and participation in the legislative process allows for a wider range of values and perspectives to inform the creation and evolution of the law. The evolution of democratic legal systems to better foster individual value creation can be pursued through these and other measures that emphasize respect for individuality, adaptability to change, and the maintenance of a sustainable balance between personal autonomy and social responsibility.